make sure that we're all on the same page. I also want to make sure that I'm on YouTube too. Last time I went live, I was trying to go to YouTube and it didn't go through. Now I am paying attention to comments, so if you're here and you wish to comment, feel free. I will be responding for sure. It looks like I am on live, fantastic, on my YouTube, which I rarely ever do. So I don't go live much on my Live Streaming Master YouTube page, but I gotta start making that happen because it is important that I keep my channel up to par. All right, so very good. So moderation, good, good, good. Moderation, very good. All right. And of course on Facebook, I want to make sure I'm live there. So I think I'm live here as well. And what I'll be doing is demonstrating some new technology that I've been talking about. And I've kind of semi-demonstrated before, but I didn't kind of have it well lit. We were doing it in the dark. We were in the middle of the city. We were doing stuff from areas that normally you wouldn't live stream from. But that's literally the point. Today, I'm just going to have it more in a controlled environment, meaning at home. And I wanted to kind of show off a little bit of what the technology is about and why I'm even offering it. So some of you already know that I deal with live streaming technology, television technology, from high-end cameras to, well, just a lot. Obviously, you probably already know that I have Live Streaming Master, my website, where, let's see, okay, we offer, and here's the new box that I'm about to show you guys. I offer a lot of tech relating to live streaming. And so cameras and microphones and switchers and encoders, and if none of this means anything to you, then you're probably not in the right place. But I appreciate you hanging out and chilling with me because that's kind of what I do. I go live and I chat about tech and I geek out, and then some people are interested in some of this stuff and then they ask questions. So that's the opportunity that I'm opening here. So this is the box. I have it here on my dining room table. You see that I'm doing my switcher here. And, this is the fun part. This is where I get to kind of open the gift wrap. So this device is what's going to allow people who are in broadcasting, who are in video, who do live streaming, who do television broadcasts, maybe now offering opportunities to smaller potential channels to do certain things live. And there's a lot of use cases for this box. So I'm going to kind of run down a few, and then if it applies to you, then cool. And if it doesn't, but you know somebody that might be interested, then you definitely want to share this video to them. So forgive the lighting. I'm literally just in my living room. Hey, what's up, Charles? It's funny. Hey, Charles, if you're interested, I could bring you on camera. I'll have to just hook up a headphone. But if not, and you just want to kind of see what I'm doing, then cool. But part of the conversation here, and what's up, Jacob? So Jacob's also joining, cool. Hi, so let me put your comment on screen. So this is a little 101 on some of the things that we'll be talking about. Oh, you're driving. All right, well, be careful driving. You don't want to do anything crazy. So I appreciate you tuning in, but don't watch the screen. You don't want to see what I'm about to show because you have nothing to do with this. Anyway, so I'm streaming right now live on both Facebook and YouTube. I am not currently using the technology because I wanted to kind of start from scratch and show off what it's capable of doing to some of you. And if any of you, again, there's an opportunity to share right now, and I get to show off some of the technology that I'm working with. So, like I mentioned before, I offer this technology, a variety of technologies that allow you to stream. So, an example, this one at the very end allows you to stream on Instagram and TikTok and a variety of different other vertical channels like Zoom and Facebook and other channels like that vertically. And I even offer a camera, which I don't have any here today, but I will be using them shortly to demonstrate all the technology that's available to you for the purposes of either selling products, acknowledging your other markets on things like TikTok and Instagram, while something like the YOLO box, which is what I'm also currently using now, I'm using for the purposes of streaming to you guys, which is Facebook, YouTube, and so on. So other stuff, and that's what I'm going to highlight today, is this little beauty right here. And I'm going to let this load. There we go. So this is the beautiful box, and you'll see the picture over here, which is what I showed you on my table here. And I'll show it once again. This is called a Tough Signal, or the brand, I apologize, is Tough Signal. And this box, what it does is it grabs cellular signals, combines them together, turns it into an internet pipe. So what it does is, instead of it giving you like 20 megabit download here, 20 megabit download here, 20 megabit download here, it'll take them and combine them and then hopefully give you a 40, 50, 60 megabit download combined. And provided you're not splitting up the signal too much with 30 different laptops and some camera gear and that type of stuff. So this is what it does. And so the way it does it is it grabs cellular signals, multiple cellular signals, and different boxes offer a certain amount of cellular signals. This one can do physically up to 4 cellular signals. And I'm just randomly saying cellular signals because it can work with anything like T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon. And depending on the state or country you're in, there might be some other service providers that it can work with. On the side here, the side that you're looking at, there's a vent, which is the nice, cute little circular thing. It actually twists and closes and opens. I have it open right now. And then you have 4 ports. When you open up the little waterproof tight knobs, they basically show you a LAN port or a WAN port, allowing you to plug in or plug out internet. So for example, I could hook it up to this YOLO box using Ethernet straight from this box. And if I'm in an area where I have really poor cellular signal, I would then activate this box, allow it to connect, allow it to do its job, and then it's going to give me a solid pipe, meaning solid internet signal. So I'm going to see if I can demonstrate this in a way without going too crazy, trying to not knock out my microphones and other devices that I'm wearing. So here we go. All right. So I'm going to grab this camera and turn it around so you can see the other side of the box. And then we'll go from there. All right, cool deal. So you'll see me grabbing my little camera here. And now we're going to go into the box. So here on this side of the box, we have a power plug. We got the USB-C port, which is also covered up, and a standard USB port, and then another vent. So that vent is going to allow this device to breathe if you're out there in the summer heat, which right now summer's almost over. And it just creates the ability to any hot air that collects internally to exit out. So one, I believe, sucks in, and the other side blows it out. So it has a little fan and technology to acknowledge what the temperatures are like so it can regulate that temperature and so on. So the device is designed to be ruggedized. It's ruggedized. And so if you're out there in a desert condition, or if you're out there in a forest, or if you're out there in a location where it's like, wow, like normally I don't get a signal here, this device should be able to offer a form of signal. And I'll show you in a moment how it can do that. Now, I'm not breaking it open. I'm just going to show you what it's capable of doing. So, scenarios on how you can use this, or scenarios as to why you would want to use this. If you're a small newspaper, a few years ago, I worked with a small newspaper where they were, for lack of better words, dying. They were publishing newspapers that nobody was buying. And what I ended up doing is developing a relationship with them and offering them the opportunity to live stream. in a way that made them look like your high-end television news broadcast with the graphics, with the ability to bring in video and so on, which is kind of like what we're doing like today. And in doing so, they were able to monetize even more. They were then bought out by a big company because of the way their content was bringing in an audience. It happened to be a Latin newspaper, and the Latin audience was starving for some content and news on YouTube, on Facebook, and once the numbers started going up, they were a value company. They were valued, and the people, larger corporations saw their value and bought them. That being said, they still had the limitations of not affording satellite trucks, satellite anything. And usually what I would do is offer them other technologies, such as a live view, which allowed them to at least plug in a camera to a device that can get at least 2, possibly even 3 signals and do something similar. This device is a bit different. It's not limited to a camera. What it's limited to is nothing. It's a Wi-Fi. So whatever production tools you have would be able to use the internet, either wired or wireless, which beats out some of the other devices that's available for the purposes of this type of thing. So enough talking. I'm going to start showing a little bit. I just wanted to give that one scenario as an example. Other examples while I'm opening this box, and I'm going to show you what that looks like, are, and I'm going to kind of put myself here in the corner. Oh, you know what? I should show you the locking mechanism. That's really one of the cool things I liked about this box. So one more time, I'm going to do this. So the locking mechanism is really cool. Sorry for the ring light there. So I'm going to open this one. So you kind of have to pinch this little gray latch, open it up, and now it's unlocked. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. There we go. And you can see that it has a little air pressure release. And here we go. It opens up. Oop. It's hard to do it with one hand, but there you go. So here we go. I'm going to switch here. I'll put this down. Cool. So what you're looking at here. Hey, what's up, Bobby? I'm going to drag this over here. Turn this and pivot. So let's see if I can play with this. So now I'm going to use the YOLO in ways that it probably wasn't meant to be used, as I normally do. Here we go. So I'm going to create a little close-up so you can kind of get an idea of how this puppy works. And just bear with me because I'm doing this on the fly. So here is a close-up of the door. And the reason it's important is because you see all these little silver rivets. These are the antennas. These are the antennas on the door. So for cellular, it has 1, 2, 3, and then more on the other side. You have 6 altogether. Also, no, I'm sorry. No, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. It has 8 antennas. So it has a lot of antennas, which you don't get on something like a live view. And then you also have 4 for Wi-Fi, and I believe it's 1 for GPS. So by itself, it's very, very capable in terms of offering many options or many opportunities to get a stronger signal by way of having them designed in a very specific manner. Internally, it's a very sophisticated design. Well, actually, it's a very simple design, but it's very well designed with the proper materials to get the maximum amount of signals possible, more so than most any other device in the market. And so what that means is, in a worst case scenario, you're far from a cellular signal. These antennas are designed to reach 20, 30, 40 plus miles to get a signal, combine them, and give you a strong signal on location. So where you normally would have a cell phone, For those who don't know, a cellular signal with no trees, nothing in the way, you have an approximately 7 to 17 miles, depending on the antenna, to get a cellular signal. A device like this maximizes that distance and also maximizes the amount of signal that you can get and give you the most speed as possible. So that's kind of why the antenna is set up the way it is, so you can maximize the amount of signal. And then what it does is it bonds it together. So imagine 8 antennas. Yeah, Charles, you're a little late. I think, now unless you're talking about miles. Last I recall, it was about 7 to plus, depending on the antenna of a cell phone tower. But if you're talking about 8 internal antennas, yes, I updated my numbers. So it's 3 on each side and then 2 in the middle, above and below. So, and so once again, that's the doorway. Now down here we have everything from the battery, the cellular SIM cards, and any other technology that's going to allow it to maximize its communication with the antennas. You have your little power button over here, and you have a display that shows the battery life. So this will vary in battery life depending on heat conditions, cold conditions, and so on. Thank you, Bobby. But it would be a maximum of up to 12 hours. There's a little button here that activates that. So let me grab this camera and give you a little bit of a close-up. There we go, and here we go. So I'm not going to show you networking settings. So here, if I turn this on, you'll see a little display shortly. Maybe I have to hold it on a little bit longer. There we go. There it is. So I got 90% battery. Up here you have SIM slots for the cellular signals. And of course here we have, again, the antennas. And there's even QR codes to help simplify the being able to access the network. What's up, Simon? So Simon, you're just joining us now in terms of the Tough Signal. Now this is called the Summit. There's a couple of different models. This supports 5G signals, and then the other model I believe have 4G signals. And what's up? How's it going, man? So welcome, Simon. So Simon is a buddy of mine. We met in Las Vegas during NAB over a year ago. And he was the gentleman that actually gave me this metal casing that protects the YOLO box. So he works with YC Onion, and he sells plenty of great products, especially things that will allow a camera to be mounted with a YOLO box and much, much more. So what I love is the relationships that I've been able to develop with these technologies to be able to now offer a combination of tools. Literally what I'm doing right here between the YOLO box, the cameras that I'm using, and a box like this, I can basically stream high quality video with, look at this picture-in-picture and graphics and all that type of stuff anywhere. Like now I'm not worried about just using a cellular, the YOLO box does have its own kind of bonding and stuff, but it's limited by its internal antennas. There's nowhere near the quality and the power of the antennas than that we have in this box. So Charles, who was the gentleman commenting 8, and I also have Jacob also here on the live, they're the engineers and the creators of this box. And they didn't know I was going to go live, so it's just nice that they were able to join. What's interesting about a box like this is the doors that it opens to even small businesses. Let me show you. So imagine a concert venue at a park where tens of thousands of people might show up, and they are going to be eating up all the cellular signals. The huge difference between what LiveView offers, and I know Simon knows a couple of other manufacturers of different gimmicky boxes. None of them are going to be as powerful as this, and here's why. One of the cool things about what I'm offering is the service providing capabilities. I'd love to talk to Charles about this offline. Sure. I mean, Simon, actually, if you want, you can actually talk to me because I'm working with them in a way that maximizes efficiency and communication. So Charles is really focused on the service, which is what I'm about to explain, and then I'm offering the technology outward. That being said, the service, what I mean by that is this box will come with service, meaning if I had a LiveView and the LiveView is not communicating, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. First of all, the LiveView is connected to, it's an entanglement as to what it's supposed to do, because what it is you have your on location device and then it has to talk to another device on the other side, whether it's in the cloud or in a server room at a TV broadcasting station, to be able to receive the signal, translate it into video, and then output it into an editor box or a transmitter, or not a transmitter, an encoder, or bringing it live, a live feed. What's up, Bill Benson? How are you? So what's really crazy is that if you're out in that park covering this concert and you're doing the live broadcast for it, these boxes, first of all, if you have more than one, these boxes will work together. If I get two of these, I can have them interconnect with each other and it will bond those signals together. So now I can have 4 chips here. I can have 4 chips on the other one. And so you can bond 8 signals simultaneously and have a pipe of the internet. Now, inside of the device, you have a router. Each one of these boxes can have a router that can support up to 100 to 150 computers or devices and so on one box. Now, granted, if you're only getting, let's say, and I'm just going to make up some numbers, if you got 100 megabit download speed in the middle of a desert and you're splitting up in 150 computers, everybody's going to get some crappy internet. But you're getting internet in a desert, as an example. An example, if you're in Burning Man, do you have a backpack version of this box? No, although the 4G, the 4G version of this is a bit smaller. So you can probably put some straps on it and put it on your back if you want. This one's bigger, handles more. There's other features that I haven't spoken about yet. I mentioned 4 SIMs, but let's say you need more. You call the service and you say, you know what, I think I might need 2 more SIMs, and you're not in a place where you can actually get a box. We can activate internally more SIMs with something similar to eSIM technology. So now a box that you might be having 4 SIMs in it, we can now suddenly have 6 SIMs. Why? Because you called, and maybe you thought you had SIMs for Verizon, but in the location you're in, T-Mobile works a lot better close to the desert. I know I'm stuck with the desert now. You call the service, say, hey, look, man, where I'm located, I think the other providers are better than the Verizon providers. Well, it has GPS. They'll be able to see the box. They'll be able to say, you know what, we can see the antennas nearby. Yes, they're T-Mobile. Boom, we're going to just switch it all to T-Mobile. And now you have T-Mobile box with up to, let's say, 4 or 6 or whatever amount of SIMs or eSIMs converted to that service provider, which you're going to maximize the signal. And it will bond it together and give you a good pipe. The second thing, or the third thing it can do, is, let's say the crowd is eating the closest towers, like I mentioned in the park scenario. Well, again, hey, the local towers are killing me. I can't get a good signal. Even if it's like 4 towers nearby, if you got 10,000 people, they're all eating the internet, they're all streaming that concert on their little cell phones, and you're trying to do a professional job, but your internet signal is crappy. So you can actually call and say, hey, look, the signals that I'm getting are pretty weak. They're like, okay, you know what? We see where you're located in the park. We see that there's some towers 30 miles away that nobody's really using, not heavily. We're going to have your signal be coming from there. And then it's going to bond it together and do the same. No other box does that. No other service provider does that. To be able to say, hey, where I'm at, everybody's using the towers and I can't reach anything. All the other devices that exist in the market today are only going to work with whatever's closest. We can program it to go beyond. So if the closest 30 miles towers, the closest towers are 30 miles away, we can activate those to talk to the box, and you no longer are worried about your crowd that you're with. You're going to have clear signal, give or take, and bond those together and give you the signal that you need. So that's an example of why this is different than any other service provider and box in the market. These guys at Tough Signal have actually driven a vehicle all the way to the Arctic Circle, 400 miles in. We got some input here. Tough Signal has hundreds of data plans across all cellular networks running in a data center. And we can provide regular and high priority data while live. So there you go. I was getting to that. I'm long-winded. So that's from Charles himself. He's the creator of the Tough Signal. And I think we also have Jacob watching as well, I think. But you should not be typing all that while you're driving, Charles. Anyway, back to the box. Knowing what I'm saying right now.
Brianna Jimenez, FaceTime video.
Not right now, buddy. So my daughter's trying to call me. Can't do that right now. Not that it's going to interfere. Can it connect? Oh, good question, Bobby. So can the box connect to Starlink? The answer is absolutely yes. In fact,
Brianna Jimenez, FaceTime
my daughter insists on coming on live. So let's say. Let's see what she wants to say. Can I call you back because I'm live right now? Okay, baby. All right, children for you. So yes, it can connect to Starlink. In fact, when they traveled into the beyond, crossing the Arctic Circle, they did take cellular and Starlink and bond them together. So that is a possibility. Good questions. And Charles says, Charles, you should just be on camera with me because this would be a great Q&A. Now, Charles, we will do a live together. We will do a live together so that, any kind of sophisticated, crazy questions can be answered by you. Although, I think you've trained me pretty well on some of the information. So, very cool. So, there's nothing that you need to connect here. Obviously, it has connectivity. It has USB. Let's say because the battery, you're out in the woods or whatever, and your laptop is now dying, and that's what you're streaming from. It does have the ability of plugging in a USB-C, which most laptops now support as a way of charging, and it can offer. You can join. Are you sure? You pulled over. Okay, great. So let me grab my headphones and make this happen. All right. So Charles, give me a second because I'm going to have to grab your email so I can email you a link. Because email is kind of like the only way that YOLO allows you to. All right, hold on a second. So this is all live, and I apologize, guys, for the brief interruption, but this is what makes my live streams a little bit different and also more enjoyable. And in the meantime, guys, if you want to ask questions, if you're curious about what I'm talking about, if you have any other questions on the other devices that I'm using, feel free, because that's kind of what this is about. Now, it's not a sales show, so I'm not technically trying to sell you anything. What I'm trying to do, though, is inspire creativity. And some of you may have projects that come up that you might be turning down because you didn't realize the technology was available to make things happen. And then you just charge accordingly, So give me a second, Charles. I'm just putting my headphones on so that way I can hear you when you come on camera. There we go. And now I'm going to invite you. So let me grab my contacts here. So the video that I've been putting on the, oh boy, I'm entangling a bunch of stuff here, is provided, the website that you saw earlier is provided by my iPad, which is connected to the YOLO box, so that's kind of cool. All right, so we're gonna put my headphones on. Granted, I haven't used these headphones in forever. All right. And Charles. Sorry about that, guys. I'm still looking out for questions. What's up, Joanna? All right, here we go. So I'm glad that they put a keyboard on the YOLO box. What's funny is I'm trying to figure out what the email address is, and it's like the simplest email in the world. All right, so I sent it over to you, Charles. Check your email momentarily. I'm glad you pulled over. And so once again, this is the site for those, livestreamingmaster.com, and all the details and specs of the device are here. Now, I don't have it for sale on the website. The reason I want to have a conversation with you guys and make sure that you understand and I understand what your needs are, and so that we can make things happen. All right, so I'm going to bring in Charles. I'm going to create a little layout where we both can be on camera at the same time. There I am. That's one here. This is all on the fly, guys, without using a computer. It's great. All right. Now, Charles, can you say something?
Testing 1, 2. How you doing, Carlos?
All right, very good. How's it going, man?
Good. Good to see you.
So, this is a YOLO box. I don't know if this is the first time you've been a guest on a YOLO box.
This is the first time I've been a guest on a YOLO box. It's amazing. Very, very simple.
It's so flexible, so versatile. So, this is your baby.
It is indeed. Listen to everything you said, and yeah,
Uh-oh.
I mean,
Did I mess up something?
Go ahead. No, it's perfect. I mean, essentially, it is the best. What I would say, if I had to introduce it to everybody, because this is all I do all day, there's basically 4 things that make it special. It's the antenna array, the variability of all the settings, which you went through in terms of its ability to connect in all kinds of different scenarios under different conditions. The data, which you have physical SIM card there, but we can add we can add different cell plans on the fly, and we can go into that further in the future. And then our support, we have engineers who are live. You're not going to wait on, you mentioned live view. We have customers who wait online forever with live view. You actually get a live network engineer who understands exactly what's going on and can usually get you fixed up very quickly. So yeah, and then in terms of bonding technologies, we can bond with really anything. So on that box, it's a dual 5G, which means there's 2 SIMs. You can put up to 4, and the box will choose the best 2. And then you can bond any number of additional boxes So you could actually bring in another dual 5G, a Summit dual 5G box, and any number of Starlink satellites, LAN connections, wireless connections, and through Speed Fusion, we'll actually bond those connections to make one larger pipe. So that's the nutshell right there.
Awesome.
I would say that the one thing I would correct, though, is there are, a normal cell phone will go 2 to 4 miles. Our box, it is capable of, on the plains of Saskatchewan on our way back from the Arctic Ocean, it was capable of hitting an 80 mile away cell tower. But normally you're going to see, of the hundreds of thousands of data points that we collected, generally, a good number of them are anywhere between 5 and 25 miles. A lot of that really has to do with if you're in a basement, if you're in a bathroom in a basement, if there's a mountain next to you between you and a tower. There's a lot of things that create signal issues.
Right.
One thing that
Trees.
we can say wholeheartedly is that we will always grab the strongest signal. And so we will always give you the best chance of getting the best output. I digress.
Awesome. Yeah, when I worked in cellular services before, on the average, what we had informed customers is for a solid, reliable signal, the most line of sight, no trees in the way, the best antenna, was about 7 miles. Anything beyond that, you're starting to weaken it and so on. Sometimes you can get close to 17 miles. But that's neither here nor there, because this is just power. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can. I'm actually just pulling you up on my I'm pulling you up on my laptop. Yeah, so again, what I'd like to say, and this is because you brought up the Arctic Circle, which is very interesting. So we were actually, I think we were, I can't remember, I want to say 350 miles north of the Arctic Circle. We were at what they call the end of the road in Tuktoyaktuk, and we drove from Philadelphia up through Pikes Peak, and then north through Calgary, Whitehorse, Yukon, up the Dempster Highway into Tuktoyaktuk. And every 10 seconds, we took a data signal. And what's important for people to know is that it doesn't matter what anybody says, including Tough Signal, Carlos Phoenix, Charles Newlight, or any other company out there. Nobody has a handle on cellular carriers. There's no one cellular carrier that is going to work for every situation. There is no one plan that will work for any situation. So just going at it on your own and saying, I'm going to go down to Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, or Rogers or Telus in Canada, or any country for that matter, and I'm going to pick up a SIM card and this box is going to work great. That's not really true. The cellular companies are really like the Wild West. They change how they manage your cellular data plans all the time. And that's why we actually have a server that can hold up to 500 separate, and we can expand that to thousands. But we basically currently have a server with 500 SIM cards in it. We have hundreds of those activated at the moment. So if you're in a pickle and you're not able to connect, we will connect. We'll say, all right, well, we're going to throw a Verizon. It could be a Teradek. It could be anything that we have in our system. We are cellular carrier and platform agnostic. All we care about is that you have strong internet. So we actually have these plans, and we can actually change them on the fly. So while you're doing all your tests and stuff, if you have, it is possible to see 5 bars, and I think this happened to you, Carlos. You were seeing 5 bars in Manhattan. You had a good signal, but you had a lousy upload speed. And what we would do is stream you a different plan, a higher priority plan, or a different company. because a lot depends on not just the signal. We are the best box to acquire that signal. I truly believe that, and our data bears that out. There's nothing I can do to control the cellular companies except give you the right plan at the right time. Most of the time, a good T-Mobile plan we're finding is actually is something that'll get you there most of the time. But when you're having issues, we can fix that. So just to recap, I'm just making a distinction between capturing a signal and the company that can actually give you good data, because towers vary vastly as to what equipment they have on it. So even in the Arctic Circle, they don't have a fiber line there yet. So
yeah, and that's very
yeah.
expensive as it is. Some people don't know that a quarter mile from the main road to your house costs tens of thousands of dollars sometimes, depending on the kind of cable they run.
Yeah. And they are running a fiber line up the Dempster Highway as we speak, by the way.
Now, you were mentioning
again,
that
if we get go ahead.
You mentioned that you had pulled over, and now I'm wondering, whose house are you in?
I'm actually in mine. It took you so long to send me your email. I ended up back in my office.
Oh, got it. Okay. Very good. So, yeah, I pretty much just got home from work, and what I do when I come home is I either play with my new toys, study the stuff, learn what new features and gadgets are out on whatever devices, because I offer so many technologies. And but this one, to me, is like something that can change an industry, and that's what I'm excited about with this.
It is amazing. I mean, we've had a really good run with this at the moment. Some of the larger networks are actually looking at putting this on their sports feeds and their sports live streaming. So it's getting a good test right now for sure.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'm still trying to invent scenarios so that way I can see who or where I can pitch to different markets. And it's going to be a lot of fun because there's so much potential in creativity when you just break the barriers and not have to worry about, oh, I have to get a satellite truck or I have to record, I can't live stream. There's just a lot of possibilities with something like this.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, you can be your own satellite truck without a lot of investment. What we usually recommend to slightly larger organizations or anybody who truly feels the need is acquiring. We can also sell it to you. We don't really make a profit on it, but we have access to the Starlink Professional. We also recommend a certain company's case to make that more portable. Now, Starlink Professional is not particularly portable, but at the same time, when you need it, as long as you have line of sight to the sky, or the ability to get line of sight to the sky, it's extremely powerful in addition to our box. We'll bond your Starlink with our cellular, so you'll have two 5Gs and Starlink, and any other connection you might have access to. We'll bond that, and it's it is definitely an incredible experience if you're used to just using a MiFi or your cell phone or any other encoding product.
Now, we'll do another live. In that live, I'd like to go into the different types of bonding, so we can get a little geekier and sexier in terms of the technology that's in there, because that just adds to the level and layers of possibility in terms of how you use it. So, for example, this could also be used, for emergency purposes, but it's also going to be looked at for production purposes. And there's different options within the box that allow it to cater to each type of service.
Yeah. Well, across the board, I mean, our customers are not just in the film industry. We cater primarily to the film industry
Correct.
because if you can make it in the film industry, which is very high priority, no failure, requirements for redundancy, you can make it in any industry. So we do have remote education, logistics and mining currently, and one of our major users would be the event space, because and people in the film industry understand this too. If you're live streaming and you want to be at an event, or you want to, like, you may have also been at some venues where they charge you, where you
Oh, yeah.
have a setup and they're
NAB.
charging you.
NAB
Yeah.
in Las Vegas, they're charging $250 inside the convention center for your booth to have internet.
Which
Per
in
day.
itself is almost a joke compared to most of our clients are paying between $15,000 and $25,000 for their major conventions, just for their quote unquote booth or their needs. Plus, that requires IT interaction. So they have an almost immediate return on investment, which is why we've been selling so heavily into the event arena. So even a few mega churches have, believe it or not, purchased our box because they've been paying these fees, and their IT kind of came to us and said, "Will this work for that?" Not only does it work, we've been supporting them for the last couple months. Injecting data, everything that we already talked about.
Right.
We've been working with them live, and getting them up and running. They have hundreds of people on the Wi-Fi in the box. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
So I'm just turning on another camera here. So bear with me there. There we go. All right, cool deal. So one of the questions that I got was, will these boxes be for rent? So the answer to that is we are selling the boxes. And if a renting business is offering that for rent, I'm sure they'll have their own packages and options. So that's kind of the answer to that. Am I right?
Oh, that's a question. Yes, I mean, there are. We do get a lot of inquiries from rental companies, so you will be able to find them out there along with other gear that you're renting as well. So, definitely look it up in that regard. You should be able to see it. In essence, if you have a need for it at once or twice, it would make sense to rent.
Right.
Much further than that, it'd probably make sense to purchase anyway. It's definitely something once you get addicted to.
Once you have
thing I
access to
will
a box
say-
like this.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say one thing that people don't seem to understand yet in this industry is that there is a need for this really strong internet. Especially not just even if you're not live streaming, most people waste a lot of time, energy, money, and budget just transferring files, transferring them back. And then if you're in the live streaming world, we don't like to say we necessarily compete with a satellite truck. If you're already using satellite trucks, most of the time we can integrate with you, or we could actually ultimately replace it. But we do have, I don't know how to say this properly. We elevate the whole experience, and when people start using this box, they start understanding something that they previously have not had access to, and that's what a strong internet signal means. So this box is not a MiFi. This box does, a MiFi is just one little connection to the internet, and obviously no antenna per se.
Right.
This is strong internet. It's something completely different. So it's the difference between a point and shoot camera and a Hasselblad. I mean, it's just something completely different. So people have to understand, they can't say, oh, well, MiFi is only $100 a day and this is whatever it's going to be a day rental, or a MiFi costs, $50 to $100, and this thing costs what it costs. It's just a whole different experience for a whole different reason. And once you experience it for yourself, there's almost no going back. There is an ROI for this box. For some people, it's in as little as 3 months. For some people, it might take a year. But one way or the other, in that time, you will understand why this is so different.
Yeah.
So it's just different all around.
Especially when you mentioned the event space, just being able to say yes to a concert. A lot of companies just say no because they're just afraid that there's no way to figure out the internet problem. And they can't rely on things like a LiveView or some Teradek or a few other options. They're just not as reliable in terms of controlling where your signal is coming from and how powerful that's going to be for the location.
Yeah. It is, like I said, it's just something that hasn't traditionally been out there. I think that a lot of internet connectivity has been reserved for the public safety, for public safety concerns, disaster recovery, things like that. There have not been a lot of companies to even elevate it even close to what we have, and then bring it to the film industry space. So there's, I always just go back to saying it's just something you haven't experienced yet. And it's like anything else.
And if you're in a good spot, if you're in a good spot with 5G, where maybe you're just not worried about signal, but you need more power, and you got 2 or 4 5G signals bonding, that's going to be some good speed.
Yeah. So there are times just on that single T-Mobile card that you have, I believe your box has a single T-Mobile business plan in as like the base, as the base SIM card that we physically put in your box. I think we were sitting with you the other night, and in a speed test, we had something like 400 down and maybe 100 something up. There you go. So now you could put physical SIM cards into those other slots, and it would use any two. But we usually just actually, what we might do is actually offer you. We would put in a blank Verizon and a blank AT&T card there as well. When we gave you your box, we didn't necessarily have that on hand, but those would be there just in case in the future we wanted to change your physical card to one of those other physical plans remotely. But we would always be able to inject any plan into your box. The only reason the physical one is in there is because if you have no connection to us, we cannot data inject to you.
Right.
So you either have to have a card in there or just plug it in to internet at some point. Obviously, with a physical card, we can connect to you and inject anything. I guess my point is, maybe I digress a little bit. My point is, you can get a lot out of that physical card. If you're in one space, it's not always a speed test. It's not about the speed. It's also about what's in the box and your ability to customize the signal and the strength of the signal. And you want to, we can do things like WAN smoothing, where we actually deliver 2 or 3 simultaneous signals so that there's no packet loss on the other end. And there's a lot of other technologies, obviously, that are very specific to giving you a better live broadcast.
Awesome. Yeah, so the specs are on the webpage, but again, those who are interested, initial contact, we're going to ask you questions, get an idea of what your needs are exactly, and match you up with the right product, because this product is so new. It's not something you want to just go to our webpage and just click buy. You want to make sure that you're getting the right services, that you understand how you're going to have a service provider supporting you, and get all that information out of the way.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, that is part of, uh, so service and support is one of the four legs of Tough Signal. Um, and we can remotely work with you and work with the box. That is what makes this so important. I think that tends to be a failure of a lot of other situations. We answer the phone. We'll answer the phone 24/7. If you call us at 3 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, we're going to answer the phone. And if there is an issue with your box, we will at 3 o'clock in the morning, we will give you another. We will troubleshoot it with you. Usually, it's not trouble with your box. Usually, it's a trouble with the data plan or maybe a setting or something like that, and we'll fix you up. But you're not going to wait online. You're not going to talk to somebody in a far off land unless you're far off and you're calling us here.
Awesome. All right, so it's almost an hour. I'm going to end the live, but I think it was a proper introduction, showing off the box. I was able to show where the ports are, and we pretty much ran through a good amount of details. And we're going to do this again as we are going to start amping up potential clients and getting some attention. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, me as well.
Awesome. All right, well, thanks for coming on, and we'll chat soon, and say hello to Jacob for me. And you guys, thank you for joining. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to DM me. I'm going to be available, especially focused on this box, but of course, other products that you can use with this box. There's other products going to be pushing soon. And Bobby, thank you so much for the questions. They are very helpful to add value to the live. All right, have a wonderful day, everybody, and a wonderful evening for some of you. And even if you're watching the replay and you have questions, feel free to reach out, and I'll try and get in touch with you as soon as possible. Take care, guys. Bye.